Welcome to Letterboxd Book Club. My name is Claire.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And today we are back with the third installment of Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass series. We're going to be talking about Heir of Fire. Really excited for this one. I think it's one of my favourites.
This is my favourite. Oh, cute. This is my favourite book.
Twinsies.
Yeah.
And we'll get to why in a moment. But of course, as per usual, Kenzie, would you please read the blurb to get us re-immersed?
Yes, I would love to. So, consumed by guilt and rage, Celaena can't bring herself to spill blood for the King of Aelin. She must fight back. The immortal queen will help her destroy the king, but for a price. As Celaena battles with her darkest memories and her heart breaks for a love that could never last, can she fulfill the bargain and head the almighty court of Terrasen, and who will stand with her?
Alright, we're going to switch it up, because normally we do, thoughts, feelings, emotions towards the end, but we feel we might do it in the beginning, just because it revs us up a little bit, gets us talking, loosens us up a bit. So we will do that first. So Kenzie, thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Thoughts, feelings, emotions. This is my favourite book out of the Throne of Glass series. It's my favourite book, but I have parts in the other books that I like more. But as a whole book, this is very well rounded. So first off, I just want to talk about the juxtaposition of the character of Aelin from this book compared to Celaena in the two previous books. Because in Crown of Midnight and Throne of Glass, she's this really powerful, confident, swagger kind of character, almost to the point of being a bit too cocky. Whereas in this book, she is very defeated, very depressed, and just seems to have given up slightly on everything. Like when at the very beginning of the book, she's just lying on rooftops, getting drunk and feeling sorry for herself.
Yeah, I agree. The way she was written, she seemed incredibly miserable and tired about everything, even though her journey, I feel, has just begun. But she's already done so much hard yards.
She's already so tired.
Done with everything. She just wants her answers. She just wants to do what's best. She wants to honor Nehemiah's legacy and oath and all that type of stuff. But everything is stopping her from doing that. Her misery and her despair was so well written. Every time I read about her, I was just heartbroken. I was like, my poor baby, just please. And then I felt in Sarah J. Maas's other book series with a particular character, I feel like she tried to replicate that sort of misery and despair, and I think you know who I'm talking about. But I don't think it really hit. But with Aelin / Celaena, I really felt for the girl. So so sad.
I think as well, I've read a lot of things on the internets about how a lot of the characters from this kind of started from this, and ACOTAR kind of all started from the same blueprint, and then she developed on that. So I can kind of see in a few other characters as well, the similarities and where they could have potentially have come from the same character building and then gone in their separate ways. So it's interesting that it's written so well in this book, and then it just doesn't quite hit as much in ACOTAR. Even though there are things that would make you look at Aelin / Celaena in a different light, when she does things that are infuriating to us as a reader, it just makes you feel more sorry for her, whereas with that other character that you're talking about, it just is infuriating. So without jumping ahead too much plot-wise, it's more towards the end of the book where she kind of is sacrificing herself for everyone else. She's given up. She's well, the least I can do is go out with a bang. But it's only at this point that she kind of realizes who she is, accepts who she really is reborn, and can now access deeper parts. Well, first she accepts that she has power and learns to use it and trains with it. But now she has even more power and she can reach I've written heights, but it's actually depths, the way they describe it as tunneling into yourself with power. And then, in doing this, she is reborn as Aelin.
Yeah, which I find interesting because this is the third book in, and this is the book where it's more about stepping in herself now. Because we always believed Celaena to be as who she is, but this is really her stepping into Aelin and her, role as the lost princess / heir of Terrasen, and the power the potential power she exudes. Like, it's a real sort of middle coming of age moment for her, which is interesting. Again, being, you know, into the third book of the series now. It's just interesting how that's just happened now.
Yeah, and again with the way that Sarah J kind of constructs her series, whereas with Akatar it's, you know, like Thorns and Roses, Mist and Fury, and Wings and Ruin, like it's three, and then those are kind of like the separate, and then it's like I'm ignoring Frost and Starlight because it's a standalone. But then from Silver Flames, like that's a whole new story. Whereas this one, I feel like from the third, like the first two were their own story, and then this Air and Fire and insert whatever the next one is, I forget. Oh, Queen of Shadows, like they're their own kind of standalone as well within like the story, and then it gets into the bigger, more epic stories as well in the last few. So it's interesting that she continues to stay on this method of writing, whereas you could just read like one or two, you could keep going, and then it's just going to build and build and build into this epic battle.
Yeah, that's also interesting because I see online a lot of people towards a series, they'll be like, oh, it gets scratchy the first couple of books, but by the third or fourth book, you know, it really picks up. And I respect it because it's true. I feel like Air of Fire really steps it up a bit.
Yeah.
First two books is a real like kind of setting the scenes and all that. But then I also saw a TikTok where a woman was explaining books shouldn't have to feel like they take it to the next level 3 or 4 books into a series. Like each book should be like outstanding by themselves, which it's a conflicting because I agree with both. Like Air of Fire does really kickstart everything, but also it shouldn't discredit the other two books. It shouldn't feel have to fight through reading them.
Yeah, the one thing I do enjoy though is that it's the same I guess big bad all the way through.
Yeah, it's consistent, like, very consistent.
Yeah, like you kind of introduced new big bads, but they link into the main big bad. I'm not spoiling it. I'm trying not to spoil anything for you because I know you're not done. But yeah, so the big bads kind of end up as one huge big bad together, whereas Akatar, it's different ones. And I was just going to say it's very a la Harry Potter. Where like Voldemort is mentioned in like the first one, and then the whole time is Voldemort, and this one it's like the word keys, word gates, and I don't think Erewhon is explicitly mentioned, but it's still so it revolves around the same idea of the word keys and the word gates and like power. Yeah,
very nice. My thoughts, feelings, emotions. As I've said, I think Air of Fire is one of my favorites so far. I find that it was incredibly well-rounded, and as I said, it's more of a good coming into your own story for Aelin and / Celaena. At this point, we call her Aelin, right? This is the book, it's just Aelin outright.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a really good balance of action and espionage and bit of humor, a little bit of fluff. And I feel
like maybe, like first half she's Celaena and then she's Aelin, but we can just call her Aelin.
And this book really does feel like it's a fresh start in terms of kickstarting the story. But that's why it's my favorite. I feel it's incredibly well-rounded. Alrighty, we are going to go through our points. This book is surrounded by 3 different perspectives. I like to I'm just going to call them the boys in Rifthold and whatever's happening in Rifthold.
Yeah.
We have the perspective of witches, which is a new sort of plot implementation.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about that later. And then we have Aelin's journey in Wendlyn and her missions.
As well, quickly in Rifthold, we are introduced to, I say Aedion.
Yeah, Aedion.
Might be Aiden. Yeah, Aedion. Who is Celaena's cousin, and I'm just going to spoil it all right now and just say that he appears to have one of those black rings that the king controls people with, but because he is demi-fae, so his father is fae, he can sense that there's something wrong with it, so he just wears a replica, and he's actually secretly double-crossing the king the whole time. It's a big thing. It's not that big of a thing, actually, but we get over it. Celaena's cousin. Good stuff. Yay.
And with that, I guess we should just kick it off to the boys in Rifthold. And this is where we meet. Yeah, Aiden. I saw someone call him like Aiden, and like, but it makes sense because Aelin and Aiden, like,
I know, but why would she put the O there?
I know, but like,
Or the I. Like, either pick the I or the O. You can't have both.
Why is Chaol spelled Chaol?
You mean Chol?
Chol or Chael or Jail. I initially thought, I was like, no, Aiden's bad. I'm calling him Aiden. Aiden is bad. I immediately, from the get-go, I just didn't trust the guy. And until he said,
Yeah, I thought we were having another, like, Archer situation.
Yeah, because, like, you can't trust nobody around Sarah, you know? You don't know, everyone's playing each other. No one communicates, no one trusts each other. It's great. Yeah, and it was funny when Aiden said that, you know, the ring smelt funny or weird when I think Chaol asked him about the ring and why he wears it. And he's like, yeah, smells weird, funny. I made a replica. But knowing what I know now, because I'm just about to finish Empire of Storms, I just think, how did the king not know that it took so long for the king to realize Aiden is not wearing the real one?
Yeah, because surely he would be able to sense the power as well.
Yeah, but oh well. So we have the Dorian Chaol Aiden dynamic is an interesting one. Because and Chaol is always kind of sniff out Aiden and like figure out what he's up to. It's like, that's fan behavior, sir.
Chaol as a whole is always just 3 steps behind everything.
Yeah,
just
poor boy.
Good.
He's not good at his job. And Aiden is also known as the Wolf of the North, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And also known as Ardalan's whore.
We all know. We love whores. We are all about it. It's interesting that Sarah uses that term, so consistently.
Otherwise, he seems like a pretty honourable person. From what we learn, he does love his cousin and he will serve his cousin.
Did you get a little bit of the incesty feels from this?
I did, because it's very much unwavering love and affection and loyalty, and I did get incestuous vibes.
So I know as well that Rowan and Aelin are related. We'll get to Rowan later, but like very, very distantly. And he says they're like they share more DNA with like a stable pig than they do with each other. But then Aiden is like her first cousin. Like
direct family.
Direct relative. They grew up together, essentially. And he's just like it's a little bit beyond unwavering love, like the way he talks about it and what he do, and like how he, like, if he dies or whatever, like he just wants to see her like one more time, like.
But yeah, we learn all about that as well in the coming books. So can't wait to talk about that again then.
Yes.
Dorian is spending his time in Rifthold figuring out his magic and also kind of mulling over the idea of like demons and word marks and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and very much on like a self-discovery.
Yeah, he's actually doing pretty well. He's handling himself quite well since Aelin left.
Yeah.
You know, good for him. He doesn't need to be worrying about anybody else but himself. It's a good type of selfishness for him. Just to sort himself out. His own self-care, self-love. This is him. This is his Europe gap year trip, where he finds himself, where he tries to.
This is his Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, he does meet a healer lady of the castle, and he does fall in love with Sorsha.
Because he will fall in love with a pole if it looked at him the right way, apparently.
Yeah, he appreciates beautiful women. Like, what a king. We stan.
Like, in every new woman he comes across, he falls in love with.
Yeah. It's accurate. It's very accurate. It's like, it's what, 3 out of 3?
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you feel about that little blossoming relationship?
Like, I enjoy romance as much as the next person. But I felt like it was more like that was his rebound, kind of, and he was just kind of using it to get over Celaena, and then because she's gone away, like, it was a love of convenience. And because, like, she was helping him as well, like, she was being his saviour. And I will talk about Sorsha being killed. So, Sorsha gets killed off at the end of the book. So, I don't like that their romance was built up for the whole book just for her to die. Because, like, Sarah is too afraid to kill any main characters, but she'll kill off the side characters willy-nilly.
It's very a la Aelin or Celaena and Nehemia. Like, it's the plot device that drives him. Because, you know, he's always remembering He's always remembering this death and using it as a way.
And why couldn't she have just been a friend to help him? Like, if you want to kill her off. And again, why introduce really a pivotal character at this point to Dorian? Just be like, oh no, I'm going to use you for one book. Like, make us love her more, give her more story, and then kill her off. Don't give her one book.
Were you ever suspicious of her? Like, I must have skimmed through her part. It turns out that she was writing letters to the rebellion, and the king finds out, and that's how she ends up getting executed. I think I skimmed past the parts where she, like, is scrunching up letters into the bin because that's how it was found out. Yeah, were you ever suspicious of any particular espionage activity from Saoirse? I don't think I was.
Yeah, I thought she was spying on Dorian for the king. Yeah, but, like, I didn't think anything else, really.
While Dorian is dealing with his romance with Saoirse, Chaol is chasing Aedion around like a lost puppy. Not really like a lost puppy, but investigates him, which leads Chaol to revealing that Aedion is actually double spying, almost. He's working for the King of Ardalen while also working for the growing rebellion in the name of Aelin. And Chaol is pretty disturbed to find out that he had to re-encounter, like, Archer's rebel men because they kidnapped Chaol and then beat him up quite severely. Yep. So Chaol is quick to not trust Aedion. I keep wanting to call him Aiden. Aedion and that whole party. But they do eventually kind of trust each other, which is nice. And it's almost like a cool little dynamic duo that we never knew we needed. I feel it was pretty good.
We love masculine friendship.
We do. And, like, it's like the thing with Chaol and Dorian, like, they have such a good brotherly bond, but, like, a good friendship love as well towards each other. And that's good to see. Like, I think in one of the books they say they love each other, which was awesome. So, and then throughout the book we learn Duke Parrington and Roland, who we don't really care about anymore.
I don't think he's mentioned after this book.
No. Him and that whole posse ends up going to, I think they go to Morath.
No N. But yeah, there is, so, oh, fuck me. Oh my god, I just... Leave that in. Oh, where's Sue gone? Are you still there?
For the benefit of the podcast, Kenzie we share a Google Doc, and Kenzie was retyping Morath because I spelled it Monrath, and then she ended up retyping it as Monrath, and therefore the chaos.
Anyway, as I was saying, no, I don't want to end this meeting. Oh, fuck. Okay, sorry.
Parrington and co. go.
Yeah, sorry. Sarah likes to forget about characters. There is this character and there is another one coming up. Sorry, Claire is aggressively pointing at the screen saying, I know. Yeah, sorry.
Crying. Just look away.
Okay, sorry. So Roland is completely forgot about, never to be mentioned again. But with the other character that gets forgotten about for, 5 books, I think in the last book there's one sentence that says, like, their name is, like, searching in another land or something, like, just throws it away. Like,
yeah. It's not a good level of consistency to have, I don't think.
Like, just don't introduce all these characters if you're going to forget about them.
Yeah, it's just a lot. She has a lot going on, I think. Sarah, I want to see, like, what her... Because surely she has, like, documents where it's just, like, for continuity, like, character names, where they're from, blah, blah, blah. I would love to see that,
like, I would have, like, a blackboard, chalkboard, whiteboard thing going on.
Yeah, with, like, red string pointing to everywhere.
Yeah.
Characters to only never be seen again. Also throughout the book, with Chaol and Aedion, they encounter Murtor and Ren Elsbrook. They're from Terrasen and stuff as well, right?
They're lords of Terrasen.
And so subsequently they are all in all for developing this rebellion in the name of Aelin. And they are assisting the lads with information, and they're all on a mission to try and figure out how the king essentially disabled magic. I was really kind of gobsmacked with how he managed to do it. The 3 towers triangulated to a point that just covers the whole of Aurelia. I thought that was really cool. Because you know, leading up to this book, you know, you think, well, how did he he used the word keys.
So there's one in Rifthold.
There's one in Morath, and there's one in
Which is
the
down
Wastes.
here.
The Wastes.
Yeah, the frozen wastes. Yeah, that's a big old triangle. That's really not a lot of land to cover that, though. But good on him.
No. But yeah, he managed to do it. I suppose having a word key as well helps. He does not have a word key, does he? He does.
No,
He just uses the towers, to disable magic, which is really cool. And I really liked the little experiment that Kale did with Dorian for Dorian to kind of figure out how to destroy it, or no,
Yeah.
to figure out how it comes to be. It was really cool. And then in Rifthold, Saoirse dies. Then Aelin gets captured. Which I want to bring up another point. I feel like the king was never really suspicious of Aedian's loyalty because being Ardalan's whore, he was fighting in the battles in the name of Ardalan. He was slaughtering, folks, his own people, and that type of thing. Anytime the king asked him about his bane, which is his own personal kind of army,
His legion,
he always was all like, "Oh, they're coming," or they've scattered, but they're meeting at some point, and then they're gonna come here. But they never came. He always put it off, which I should have realized that he was kind of on the good side, because
he kept saying they're stuck somewhere, and
pretty clever to kind of keep them distracted, so he wouldn't have to use them again. But then Aedian gets captured, and then Kale runs away, and then Dorian gets collared up by the word collar.
I know.
Poor baby.
So then he's possessed. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. He's possessed by a Valg.
Yeah, by a Valg demon. And he was so heartbroken when Saoirse died. But it's you only knew her for a really small amount of time. And this is what's going to drive you for the rest of the series. Ugh, is it really enough? And then, that's when we learned, Saoirse was writing letters to Dorian's friend, or a friend of Dorian or something. And it turned out to be Ren she was writing to, I believe.
Yeah, Ren Allsbrook.
And yes, everything just goes to shit for them, unfortunately. When Kale manages to escape, abandons his post as captain of the guard, and he is off on his own now, I guess, journey.
Yeah, good luck. But also, he ran like a little bitch. Sorry.
Yeah, he's not very good at tussling. To be fair, if you were surrounded by an enemy, a now known enemy, would you want to have stayed and tried to fight them?
No.
So there we go. Don't be too harsh. Alrighty, the next point of view that is consistent throughout this book is the point of view of the witch clans and the witches. I personally did not really care about them. I skipped or skimmed a lot of their chapters.
Again, there's just so much content for this. It's not a large book. It's only, I'm going to see how many pages it is. It's only 500, I'll say this, it's only 567 pages, as if that's a normal size book.
Yeah, no.
But it's not, I feel again, content-wise, because it's over a short time, I reckon it's probably over less than a year, maybe less than 6 months of time.
Because Aelin was in Wendlyn for 2 weeks before Rowan picked her up. In the other books, they always described it as spring, in the spring. So, maybe it's a 3-month thing, I would say.
Maybe, yeah. So, for how content heavy it is, not a lot of time passes. And, you're getting sucked into this story, and then you're going to introduce another viewpoint. We get it. The king is evil. The king is doing evil thing. You don't need to give us another 13 witches.
Yeah, I was skipping them, because I wanted to get to Aelin and her journey.
Yeah, I wanted to get to the main story.
But I ended up getting the gist of everything. So quick little rundown for those who also haven't read The Witches. But I must say, onwards, from Empire, from Queen of Shadows onwards, I did read a lot of the witch chapters. It's just this one.
Yeah, so it was just this one.
But so basically, the king was gathering all the witch clans to train them and develop a legion of flying witches with wyverns, leading them into battle. And then there were other sorts of training which determines who becomes the wing leader. We learned that Manon Blackbeak, she is the heir of the Blackbeak witch clan, and she wins, so she is the wing leader, so she gets a nice little commanding role. And of course, she has that little story of when she claims her wyvern, it's the small, runt, gentle one that, doesn't seem to be wanting to battle, but it will battle strong.
I think Toothless from How to Train a Dragon.
a sweet boy, just wants to fly around. And
Just wants to be loved.
exactly. It's the gentle giant almost. And then there's other like intersectional witch history between like blue bloods and Crotians and yellow legs and all that type of stuff.
Crotians, interesting. I call them the Crokins.
Crokins? Oh, Crokins would work. Although I do get kind of confused about the differentiation between them all. But anyway, that's just me.
Oh yeah, I got no idea.
And then Baba Yellowlegs' death, if we remember from Crown of Midnight that Celaena killed, that gets brought up, and now they're on the hunt for Celaena as well. So
is it in this book as well we're introduced to a lead Loken?
Yep, I understand. We'll get to that. We'll circle back to this because I think I know why when we eventually talk about Aelin and her journey. Baba's death resonates with all the witches, and yes, so they're being moved about. We learned that the king is like developing creatures in different parts of the continent for his armies.
Growing his own army of creatures. Wild creatures, Ilkin.
We don't really know about that until...
Oh well, shoot me in the bum.
Oh well, now we know. I'm keeping that in.
Don't listen to this unless you've read the entire series.
But yeah, and that's all I really got of the the witches. And yeah, Manon had developed her 13 girl squad of witches, and I only know Astrid as her second. They have some arguments throughout.
Second, third, hit.
Yeah,
Ugh.
they're very violent people.
They're so violent, aggressive.
And immortal and beautiful as well.
But like also not completely human either.
No. Now let's get to the reason why we love this book so much, I guess. Aelin's personal journey.
Aelin Galanthinius.
Yeah.
Queen of Terrasen.
Yeah, the lost heir. So she's in Wendlyn. It's been 2 weeks since the king sent her. Yeah, as we said before, she's drinking, she's gambling, she's fighting, she's just absolutely miserable. She did kind of stalk.
She's miserable, but she is just living her life.
She's vibing.
She's going for it. Yeah, she's vibing.
She's having a little vacay before getting her work done, I suppose. But yeah, she ends up like tracking like the royal family at some point, and then she realizes everybody loves them, so she's like, I don't want to deal with this. And then this sexy fey male finds her and escorts her to her beloved Auntie Maeve, which I want to say Maeve, sorry. It got so defensive. Maeve.
Sorry.
It's funny how it's a very similar way her journey started than that of Throne of Glass. Because in Throne of Glass, she gets picked up by Chaol in Endovia and sent to Dorian and discuss everything that...
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, Rowan picks her up and takes her to Maeve. It's just interesting how it's very similar, like a parallel, if you will. Again, like her story is just starting to begin again.
Is it a retelling of a retelling?
Exactly.
I think that's like the theme of this book, though, is that like it's a journey of self-discovery and like rebirth, especially for, well, Dorian kind of discovers himself and is then captured.
Yeah.
Chaol's got to figure out how to live life on his own, sort of, without Aelin, and Aelin is, figuring herself out as well. And almost you could say the same for Rowan. He's on this new journey of like self-discovery as well about who he really is and where he's lived his life. Yeah,
for sure. And with that, Rowan and Aelin, they train together, they develop a good little bond. Rowan is incredibly harsh on Aelin. He is incessantly calling her Aelin, which at the time she never wanted to be called that.
Yeah.
Again, like she doesn't want to accept that sort of responsibility because she knows there's a rebellion growing in her name.
Yeah, she's like, no thank you. Should we talk about as well Rowan / and his friends' abilities to shapeshift?
Sure.
Into creatures. So Aelin can shapeshift as well, but she shapeshifts between her human form and her fae form, whereas Rowan and his cadre are always in their fae form, but then they shapeshift to different animals.
Yeah.
Blueprint for Tamlin.
Yeah, blueprint for Akatar in general, for sure. Yeah. And there's another cadre member's specific ability that is a blueprint for winnowing.
Yeah, well, we can... Yeah, so Fenris... Is it Fenris?
Yeah, Fenris.
Yeah, anyway, so Fenris, his ability is... Yeah, he can teleport to various locations, and he kind of describes it as in between dimensions and stuff, which is... But only he can do it in this. Yeah, very short distances, yeah. So, blueprint for winnowing?
Yeah, blueprint for Akatar. And yeah, during this training, Rowan is incredibly harsh on Aelin. He just wants her to be able to control her power, teach her about the magic, because up until now, like, she's had no real except for that moment in that other dimension fighting the monster. She's had, yeah, no real access. Well, she's had 10 years of disabled magic, so he's really keen on getting her to control it and kind of test the waters and see how far she can go, how deep into her well she can sink into. And yeah, Rowan, he's a bit of an asshole though, like, morally grey asshole.
I was really off his vibes, but then I was also like, oh, like, this is Reese.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And what would you think your final straw was, towards Rowan's treatment of Aelin?
When Rowan threatened to whip Aelin.
Yeah, final straw. And she lost the plot.
Yeah, given her history in the Indolvia salt mines and being whipped.
Yes.
But then he, like, does the whole trope when eventually later on he sees all her scars down her back and he does the whole, who did this to you? And then goes into, like, a mad flurry and...
Sweetheart mode.
Sweetheart, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's what part of their relationship kind of
also, can we talk
turned
about...
tides.
Sorry. They do, end up in some sort of relationship. Spoilers, sorry. But, like, can we talk about Sarah J. Maas's obsession with 500-plus-year-old fae men and 19-year-old girls?
And suddenly their lives, are complete after 500 years.
Yeah, their lives are complete. They would lay down their lives for these 19-year-old.
I don't know, it's the meta. It's the meta these days. She writes a lot of these, like, the fae males in particular. They're all arrogant and, like, very up themselves about their ability. But I think because the excuses
they just have huge dicks
and egos, yeah. Yeah, of course. Why else would they? But no, like, because I feel like it's easy for her to write them being as 500 plus years old because, they've experienced life, they've gone through a lot, like, they almost have a right, and they've survived this long as part of their immortality that they have the right to be arrogant. I feel like it's easy for her to write that.
But if you also, if you get to 500 years old and you're that arrogant already, like, what is the rest of your life going to be?
Exactly. So that's why I think, like, it's easy for her to write them off as 500 plus years old and just be arrogant.
But then they suddenly have these change of hearts. Like,
yeah,
an insignificant speck on the world.
Random moment in history is what changes their lives forever.
I think both of them, though, like both series as well, I think they've, like, gone through life and it's kind of like going through the motions. And then suddenly, like, there's this 19-year-old girl and they're like, they can see, though, that she's going to be the change in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, that's what gravitates them towards it.
It's a much nicer way to put it instead of a creepy vibe. Well done. Well done. We turned it around.
It's still grooming.
And Rowan is really trying to teach Aelin teaching her how to control her shapeshifting and getting her familiar with her shifted body. Yeah, and he manages to... Because Aelin's never been able to do it kind of on demand. She doesn't really know how. And I really loved how Sarah kind of wrote this because it was frustrating. It's like, I don't know how you do it, but just do it, You should just be able to do it.
Yeah, but she also describes, like, oh my god, I can't think of the word. Transforming? Shifting. She describes shifting as painful. Like,
right, yeah.
Aelin does. Like, she said it was like ripping, like, her entire skin and stuff.
But yeah, Aelin is struggling with that, and then Rowan has a little experiment where he just bites her, and this triggers Aelin to, like, change. Yeah. Was it in a significant moment or just like a training moment?
It was in a training moment, but she was like, it was a sexy moment.
Yeah.
She was backed up against the wall.
And yeah, throughout her time in Wendlyn with Rowan, they come across, like, Val creatures, like, what other creatures? Skinwalker creatures, all these other types of things. And they're on a little murder mystery as well, because they realize, like, demi-fae are being murdered across Wendlyn. Primarily, there's a lot of, Valg lore drops in regards to the word keys and, like, the word gates and all that type of stuff that gets revealed. I think Aelin also explains to Rowan about her past, about what happened, I'm pretty sure there was a moment where she just tells him. She just kind of breaks down.
Yes.
Because that's how she figured out she has to visit her old master. I'm pretty sure she explains that whole story for her to then realise, I gotta go see Aberon and figure out what's going on. Because she realises that's a word key. So I feel like she does tell a group of people her past. And that's when we learn about Marion and Ely Lorcan.
Maybe it's off screen.
Maybe, I don't know. I really feel like she did. I'm pretty sure she also has a moment where she remembers one day, like when she was really young, her and Dorian and all that were eating at a table together. Like, I'm pretty sure that's in this book. So I just feel like she talks. She has a moment where she explains everything. Because, yeah, that's how Marion and Ely pop up, I believe.
Yes.
Or it could be in the next book, but whatever. There's a lot to get through in this fantasy series. So much that I feel like I shouldn't miss.
So much content.
Overwhelmed. And as Rowan and Aelin are growing their bond, we learn of a term called Karanam, which is where two people's magic are compatible and they can kind of merge their power together, take from each other to create one giant superpower, essentially.
A la the Demardi bond. I can't say it. The bond between Feyre and Rhys, or Rhys and Feyre's like ability.
Could it also be like the Parapatai or whatever in Shadowhunters?
Yeah, because there's like points in the book where like Aelin will be like, oh, I think it's in italics where she'll like say something and he responds. And I think I've spoken about this, or I was planning on speaking about it. I don't think it's like explicitly said that they're like telepathically communicating, but they are kind of communicating somehow. But now that I've said that, I think it's because of something else and you don't know yet.
Fair enough, and I'll find out when I get to it. Sorry, Kenzie, I'm
You've
almost
got like
there.
100 pages and you'll know.
Yeah. All good. So yeah, we learn in a situation like there is a siege with the Valg against Wendlyn and against three Valg princes, and yeah, Erwin's there. And, you know, Aelin's, like, in the depths of her power, and, like, Rowan's being held back by his cadre. The arseholes, I hated that moment. But then he manages to go to her, and, like, they link their magic and destroy everything. It's fantastic. I forget where I was going with that. I had a point at the end. I had a point. Yeah, and we just learn. That's the moment we learn that they're both compatible with each other, which is really cool. Fire with wind and ice.
Yeah. And they emerge victorious.
So we learn of a concept called blood oaths, which Maeve has over Rowan, Lorcan, Gavriel, Fenris, Connell, and Vaughn. And now that we say Vaughn's name, we realise that Vaughn is another character that kind of gets forgotten about.
Bye-bye, Vaughn.
You do not hear from him after this book, essentially. Or, as you said, there may be, like, a moment later on where he appears.
Yeah, he doesn't appear, he's just mentioned.
And Fenris and Connell are brothers. So yeah, there's a lot of references back to the cadre because, you know, Rowan has been fighting alongside them for like hundreds and hundreds of years, and they all share a blood oath to Maeve, and the blood oath is where it's like a magical bound to servitude of somebody.
And it makes like whatever she orders them to do, they do it.
Yeah. And so Rowan is then inclined to answer Maeve's questions if she has anything. She asks him anything about Aelin or her plans or what she knows about the word keys, word marks. And she does have a moment where she like asks Rowan something about it and he is resisting to answer, and then she starts whipping him. And then again, that's Aelin's final straw. And she manages to like break his bond, and he now has a blood oath to Aelin now.
Well, she gets Maeve to break it. And then, yeah, he takes the blood oath to Aelin.
Because you read on how it kind of works in a bit more detail in the next couple of books. Because it's a magical bond, the way they do it. Like, I think he drinks her blood or sucks on her blood or something. And then there's just like a magical bond. But then be reading it, they just say some words. Like, there's no ritual. It's just like, oh, you are now free of this blood oath. Like, yeah. I don't get it. But, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Rowan joins Aelin, and as she starts assembling, I guess, her court members, which is exciting.
She's getting ready to go to war.
And then, what else happens? Maeve becomes scared of Aelin because Aelin shows her a bit of her true power.
Because Maeve is scared of fire.
Yes.
I wonder why.
But Maeve is that early on. Maeve was actually quite knowledgeable in answering Aelin all her questions about the word keys and what she knows. Yeah. But we're all now very suspicious of Maeve because we know she doesn't like Aelin. We learnt that Aelin's mother did not want Maeve to see her growing up or anything. So why are you hiding from Maeve? What's Maeve's intent? She is dodgy. I do not like her. And that's the end of that. But yeah, blood oaths is a cool concept.
I like that concept because I think Aelin as well, in giving people the blood oath, says like allows them to still have their free will, and she just uses it like really to protect them.
You know what, I'm just going to say it. In Empire of Storms, they describe it as, like, it depends on whoever you're sworn to. For Maeve, it's more of a direct order. If you don't do this, there will be consequences, you will be dead type of thing. Like, there is no room for disobeying. Whereas with Aelin, it's more of a soft command. Like, but you can do this, but you are of as much of a free will as you can have with a blood oath.
Yeah.
And then this is where the kind of slow burn for Aelin and Rowan starts as well.
Yeah.
Which is cute.
Oh, I think the slow burn started when
he picked her up.
He bit her.
Yeah. Really. That was the moment.
Yeah, that's the moment I knew. See, I can't tell you, but I knew from that moment. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yep, fair enough. Alrighty, I think we've covered most of what we wanted to cover. I don't think I've missed anything. Unless there's any, like, final sort of things you want to talk about? Any particular moments that stand out?
I think we have covered a great deal, just like Sarah J. Maas covers a great deal.
Yeah, we've done our best. Yeah, there's a lot of Valg lore and, like, the history of, like, Celaena and Gavin as well, and how they banished them or didn't banish them.
The god stuff.
Yeah. I get so confused when even, like, the slightest gods pop up.
There's so many people. I need a list and, like, I need a spreadsheet.
No, you don't. I'd probably get a headache just reading that spreadsheet. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm quite happy with what we've gone through.
Yeah, same.
Well, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for listening. Keep an ear out for when we talk about the fourth book, Queen of Shadows. I'm going to say Queen of Shadows is, like, very close second. Very, very close second favourite book to Heir of Fire.
My second favourite is Empire of Storms.
Cool. Is it just because of whatever happens in the last 100 pages?
Yes.
All right, Jesus. But yes, okay. We'll be back.
So thanks for listening.
Yeah, we'll be back with Queen of Shadows. If you guys have any other, like, discussion points, thoughts, opinions, check out the Instagram, letterboxbookclub.
Feel free to slide into the DMs.
And yeah, catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.